Welcome back to OwlDragon Adventures. I'm Scott Kegler.
And I'm Rob McPherson.
And this is our 2023 update on our top 10 games of all time. So this will be our third annual listing of these. We've been doing this since we kind of dove into the channel and kind of dove headfirst hard back into the hobby that we'd only kind of tentatively been doing for 10 or 12 years.
Right, yeah.
And we just, like, at the end of the year, have fun updating this list. So if you were curious where we were at years prior, you can go ahead and check out those videos. They're still up to look at our 2021, 2022. And now this is our updated list, both of our lists for 2023.
Yeah.
So
I don't know about you, but I had some shakeups.
I did have some shakeups, pretty significant shakeups, actually. So obviously these are, subjective things impact it.
Yeah, it'll give you an idea, though, of what our tastes are so that when you watch our videos, you can get a feel for. If you don't agree with our top 10s, then, well, take what we say with our reviews with a grain of salt.
Yeah, and some of these get influenced, too, as we joked. Like, we'll talk about, like, there's some emotional reasons behind a lot of them. Some of them are the proximity at which we've played some of these over the course of the year, too, because sometimes the games, like, just fell off. Like, one that, spoilers, won't be on this list, but is still a game I think is iconic and always have a special place in my heart, is Twilight Imperium. I used to have that in my top 10, into my top 10, but just I've been been edged out by other games. I still love it. I think it's a fantastic game. I'll never get rid of it.
Yeah,
but
when you play the hundreds of games that we play, the top 10 list gets
really
difficult to play to plan out.
Yeah. So we'll jump right into our number 10. So do you want to go first, or you want?
Yeah, I can go first. All right, so my number 10 is going to be Tzolk'in by CGE. So this is a worker placement game. It's got a really unique twist on it where it's a place and retrieve, and that's when you retrieve is when you get to take the actions, which I really like. Funny enough, this is a game that I picked up 100% for the board mechanic because I was doing some research into the design of a board game, and I was like, I want to see how they mechanically do the spinning gears. And then we decided to play it and absolutely fell in love with it. Fantastic worker placement game. I am absolutely terrible at it. Scott doubles my score every single time we play. So never play with Scott. But so that's my number 10.
I absolutely love the investment of an action and waiting for it to pay off.
I'm not going to put that on its side. That almost was catastrophic.
That's okay.
Go ahead with your
Great
number 10.
pick.
Yeah.
My number 10 is only one of the many boxes that come with this game, but this is Merchant's Cove is my number 10. This is specifically the innkeeper, my favorite character to play, Mr. Nasty, who runs the inn at Merchant's Cove. Wonderful, asymmetrical, rondel worker placement. Not really worker placement, mostly a rondel. And then it's every single character is playing a different mini game, leading to selling their wares at the end of a round. Whoever sells the most
so
wins.
this is odds manipulation, I think would be the best way to put it.
It's like forecasting markets. Like this character, like you're trying to anticipate what's going to happen at the end of the round, which I love that he's this, and he scores entirely differently than everybody else.
Yeah, he's your vagabond.
He's a vagabond but he is just so much fun. I love the idea of like making beds and getting drinks ready at the end, and everyone's playing their own game, which I love. This game, I can watch everybody do their own thing. Merchant Cove easily into my still in my top 10. Went down a few spots, but still love Merchant's Cove.
Yeah, great game. All right, so I'm not going to bring out the full box for this next one because I don't want to hernia, but this is going to be Stars of Ikaria. So this is the ships of Ikaria, so if that gives you an idea of, I love it enough that I have all the 3D ships and everything, and actually I painted all of them too. So fantastic game. Definitely have some gripes with it. They're tightening it up with a 1.5, which I'm excited to see. That's going to tighten up some of the gameplay, which is only going to make it better in my books, but some of the absolute best skirmish combat I've ever played in any game. So much fun co-op. I'm actually just about to start a solo playthrough in the next couple of weeks. I've decided this is gonna be my next in my downtime on the holidays. That's my number 9, Stars of Ikaria.
I don't know why we gave me the full box for this, but this is my
because
number
I like
9.
to see him suffer.
Too Many Bones. This is actually not my favorite iteration of it. Unbreakable is really good. Not my favorite, but I just love Too Many Bones. I love the core game. I really enjoy the core game. But I've loved everything else with it. I have way too much. You have way too much. Too Many Bones. This is just they'll be able to weigh down my whole house with this. This is ridiculous.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know too much of it.
Yeah, the new miniatures.
I haven't played with them yet.
This one is in a. If you haven't played Too Many Bones, it is a skirmish dungeon crawly game.
This is getting off track already, but I didn't notice in the box art. No kill.
Nice. But it is a huge emotional win for me because I love this game. It gives you the feel of playing D&D over a very short amount of time. This is the kind of game, though, that you lose a whole
Are we saying
Saturday
very short? Are we saying very short period of time?
No. A good game, I would say.
Yeah.
A good game of Too Many Bones, like 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah.
So not a break it out on a Friday night or Monday night game night, but you set aside a weekend. We just did it on Black Friday.
Yeah.
Had an absolute blast. That is on Too Many Bones. Any of the versions of it, give me anything. I will be happy playing Too Many Bones. Yeah. Number 9.
Great game. All right, so my number 9 is going. My number 8 is going to be. I can count. My number 8 is going to be a new game. This year, this year,
Early this year. I think.
I should know that because we did our top of 2023 too, and I have that list standing by. Anyways, Solar 175 by Cogito Ergo Meeple. Yeah, it's Orleans in space with some expanded conquering on board. I like the things that it added as opposed to Orleans because it adds the exploration of space as opposed to just the resource grab of like the Silk Road. Not Silk Road, but you know what I meant. Silk's one of the resources in Orleans. Anyways, worker placement, bag building game, beautiful aesthetic. I absolutely love the world, and I actually do have a roll and write coming from them. That's a campaign legacy roll and write coming from them soon too.
I love the hidden.
The voting.
The hidden voting victory point thing, and that is awesome.
Yeah, you get dry erase markers, and you get to vote on who you want to rule the galaxy,
which determines some VP at the end, which is awesome.
Yeah. Great game.
So number 8, I have another Merchants game. Surprise! I like games with economics in them. This is a newer one to me, but just came out last year. But I absolutely adore this. Is Merchants of the Dark Road by Elf Creek. This one surprised me. I wasn't expecting to like fall in love with it. I heard mixed things about it.
Yep.
But we played it. I played it solo. I absolutely love this game. One thing that it does that not a lot of other not worker placement, Rondell. Yep. Resource gathering, pick up and deliver game. But one thing that it does very well is this mechanic of when people are traveling, this action to go out into the world, travel the dark road. There's like this system where you can kind of like be like, I'm going to jump in too.
Yeah.
So there's this fun action economy of like, when do I hope that someone else is going to go on a trip so I don't have to go out alone, which not only costs me action economy, but it's more dangerous to go off by myself. So I just love that kind of like bid in on what other people are doing. And you only get 13 actions in the game, but that's a way to kind of technically get more than 13 if you time it right.
Right. Yeah. No, that's how I won the first time.
Yeah.
I traveled once, and I just followed them the rest of the time.
Once you know that, it's a very fun element to the game. And it feels thematic that you're like, it's really dangerous going off on my own, so I'm going to try to wait till someone else is going.
Yep.
So I absolutely love that part of the game.
Great game. Yep. Love it.
Number 7.
All right. My number 7 is going to be... So this is just one of the expansions, but Western Legends, really fun sandbox game. It is, it's exactly what it sounds like. You're playing a bunch of people in the Old West. You're gambling, you're mining gold, you're traveling around, you're fighting bandits. It is just an absolute blast. We never play this game without laughing hysterically over some of the situations that come up. This and Zaya were neck and neck for me for a while, but I think this has taken a clear lead this year. I love the gameplay of Zaya, but the experience of Western Legends just can't be beat in my books. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be my number 7.
My number 7, I believe, is brand new game this year, but we have played it a lot and have fun with every player count. Every group has had a great time, and that is Seas of Havoc. I absolutely adore Seas of Havoc. It is a deceptive game. It just looks like we're just going to be only pirates fighting each other, but really it's a small deck building worker placement game that then you get to be pirates and shoot each other. Yeah. I've never found a game that is so delightfully mean that you're all still having a good time after just shooting cannonballs at each other. Because normally that can feel very bad and take thatty, but this game, it's going to happen.
There's no player elimination.
No player elimination, and you're basically just punching each other for negative victory points.
Right.
So I get victory points for hurting you, and you take penalties for getting shot. absolutely adore this game. It's super modular. There's lots of options, and great game from Rock Manor, who is always putting out new and interesting games.
Yeah, absolutely.
Number 6.
So my number 6 is going to be Endless Winter Paleo Americans by Fantasia Games. This is another worker placement, in case you're sensing a theme here, with a deck build mechanic, area control mechanic. There's plenty of expansions to give you things. There's an expansion that gives you a roll and write mechanic. It's one of those games that just hodgepodges together a bunch of mechanics, and it does it in a really smart way, in a really elegant way. It just ends up being an absolute blast. I love the art on it. It's a little bit of a beast to get to the table. We don't table it all the time because of that. However, it's always a blast when we do. Apparently, however, looking at scores online compared to our scores, we're terrible.
We're not very good at it.
So, tips in the comments?
Yeah, please. My number 6, I'm going to steal the game back. Our first crossover?
Yeah.
Western Legends is my number 6. For all the reasons Rob said, but it is just absolutely the most fun, childlike, sandboxy game where I'm like, I'm a cowboy, or I'm a sheriff, or I'm an outlaw. I am, or if you want to be more adult about it, I'm just going to go get all my gold and bring it to the dance hall girls. And that's your evening, just playing your ridiculous Western legend throughout the game.
Or you can just sit and play poker in game all night and not worry about winning the game.
Yeah, you can just keep playing poker, and it's whatever you want it to be, which is why I'm so glad it's back on my list and has jumped up quite a few spots actually from recent plays because we just have so much fun.
Yep.
And actually, I will say, unlike Zaya, I think that one plays best at the full player count. Zaya plays good at multiple player counts, but that one, if you have 5, is just awesome.
Yeah, not every game scales to its max player count well. That one does. I agree with you there. All right, my next game is going to be our second crossover. I brought my own box for it, though. Merchant's Cove. So this is the Dragon Rancher one. This is a bag draw, a little bit of a bag build style of it. Not actually my favorite character. I think my favorite character right now is Oracle's a lot of fun. The Rogue. The Rogue's my favorite so far. I love the Rogue. FYI, it's hidden. Don't throw your boxes away. Yeah. So, fantastic game. Pretty much everything that Scott said about it is the same with me. So, I love Merchant's Cove. Great game.
So, that's my number 5, which you're just going to pretend it's taking up all this room right here because I didn't bring it over. And that's Foundations of Rome. We'll just pretend it's right here.
Yeah.
My hands where they are. It is an enormous...
cover us.
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't bring my my trailer. So, I didn't bring Foundations of Rome with me, but... not an incredibly heavy game. It is not even a very medium game. It's a medium to light game.
Yeah.
But I absolutely adore it. The strategy is where it gets more of its complexity once you start playing people in Foundations of Rome.
Yep.
You've seen it. It's a ridiculously overproduced game, but I love everything about it.
Finally were beaten once.
I've only been beaten once in Foundations of Rome.
I came so close one time.
But I it's not just because I'm good at it, but it ends up looking like a gorgeous game at the end.
It's amazing.
And it just trucks. There's no downtime at Foundations of Rome.
I'm very excited to try their distillation that they just put out, the Age of Wonders.
Well, there's also the Metropolis one coming out soon. There'll be like a quicker version of it that's just all basically cardboard. But, But I want my.
Oh yeah, big
chunky pieces.
I totally tricked him into spending the money on that, and no regrets.
Yeah, I love that one. Very fun, quick to set up. Love it.
All right, for our third and I think final crossover is going to be the Hernia in a Box, Too Many Bones. Everything that Scott said and more. Unbreakable actually is my favorite of the 3. I love Unbreakable, even though it is mean to me. Oh my God, it is so mean to me. Fantastic game, though. Nothing more needs to be said. You can see plenty about Too Many Bones on our channel. We love it.
Yeah. It's a very fun event game for us.
Yep.
So that is number 4 for me.
Yeah.
New game for me in my top 10, but love this game solo. Even like it more as a multiplayer game. It gives me everything I want out of guys on a map, fighting a big 4X feeling game. But you win together or you die together, and that is...
I saw his list, and I still already forgot what it was.
This is only part of it. I didn't bring the entire because it's gigantic boxes, but this is just one of the expansions. But Uprising, Curse of the Last Empire... Absolutely love this game. It is, again, a very overproduced game, but there's just so much to do. and it's so much fun fighting these impossible odds, but together. So it's very hard to sell people on war games, 4X games. This one's a much easier sell because I can help people without quarterbacking. I can be like, hey, you're good over there fighting that horde.
Yep.
While I deal with this, and we all have to work together to make sure we stop the two unstoppable armies.
Right.
So much fun.
Yeah, great game. That's our number 3 now.
Wow.
So number 3, I also did not bring this game from over there to over here. I brought part of it over, which is going to be the Isafarian Guard. This is a 38-pound box. I'm not doing it. Fantastic game. It's a campaign game, which, as you know if you watch this channel, I love my campaign games. Legacy-like game in that regards, but it's all built around bag building. The combat in bag building is just so much fun. This is a 1 to 2 player game. I've only played it 1 player so far. I'll have to get you to play it at some point.
Yeah.
I know we've been so swamped with other things. Such a great game. This is another one that's got some new rules coming out to streamline it a little bit that I'm super excited about. I'm stalling on my next campaign playthrough of this until those rules hit so that I can experience it a little bit better. But yeah, so I'm only bringing out just the event drawback for this one because it lives there and it will never. In fact, it is bowing my shelf.
Yeah, a little bit.
Probably shouldn't have put Perseverance on the same shelf as it.
My number 3, switching directions as far as physical weight of a game. I won't necessarily say challenge weight of a game. My number 3, still my number 3, for at least 2 years in a row, if not 3. That is Targi by Cosmos. I stand by this claim. You cannot find a better 2-player worker placement game or a worker placement game for small box, for a couple, for friends, for the price point, for the amount of crunchy game that you get out of this small box.
Yeah.
Targi is it's midway, a little less than midway. More if you add the expansion, which I highly recommend. You're still only in it though for $40 for this very fun. One of the meaner games at 2-player because literally every turn you're swearing at your opponent.
Yeah.
But Targi is absolute treasure in my collection. I've deluxified the heck out of it, and I'm happy to do so.
Only reason I don't play it more is because you and Sean have played it so much that I would stand no chance.
Yeah, no, it's a great time.
All right, so my number 2. This one skyrocketed up my list. It would have made my best of 2022 list last year, except I bought it right after the new year, so I didn't get a chance to do that. However, it is from AEG. It's going to be Meeples and Monsters, another bag build game. What's great about this is it's punchy in terms of how we interact with each other, but we don't actually hit each other. We're always going after the monsters, and it's just a victory point grab in terms of that. Fantastic bag building elements. You're actually building with the meeples themselves, which is just such a fun thing. I love the artwork. I love how the art is the actual meeples. There is the only thing in the artwork that is not meeples is the termites. Okay. There are termites as some of the things that you fight, and they actually look like termites. The cleric in this, their weapon is a bottle of wood glue.
Oh, nice.
So super thematic, really, really fantastic game. This one skyrocketed up my list, as I said. Really, really great game. If you like bag builders, cannot recommend this enough. It's my number 2.
Big upset for me. My number 2 game here was my number 1 for 2 years in a row now. Just barely got eked out into the number 2 spot. And I didn't bring all of it because I have a whole shelf. Maybe it'll reclaim it. We'll check out for 2024 because I have a whole bunch of new content coming up next year for it. And that is Cthulhu Death May Die.
This one hurt you.
This one hurt me a bit. It could have a comeback with the 3rd and 4th season of the game.
I've never heard Scott squee over a Kickstarter before.
Yeah, it's so good. That we didn't think we were going to get it. We got it, but this is a beautifully modular game. I could see it still jumping back up to number 1. It is, as I call it, the most cinematic board game I've ever played. You really feel like you're at the end of a horror action movie every time. And the nail-biting victories on this one are so sweet.
Yeah. I think we still have the continued trend that we never win if I am alive at the end.
Yeah. If you are ever on the fence with a CMON game, you're like, maybe I should get a Zombicide, skip everything else, get Cthulhu Death May Die.
And I've seen the base game of this in retail quite a bit lately, so there's some copies floating around. We can't say this often, so if definitely pick
Yeah,
it up.
you don't need a Zombicide game. You need this one. If you want a Zombicide game,
Agreed.
get a Zombicide game. But if you need
Sure.
something like Simon, this is the one to grab.
Agreed.
You won't regret it. And it's the best Cthulhu game ever made.
Yep. I agree, 100%.
Yeah.
All right, so my number one game of all time is... I like small games too, I promise. Ugh. Wonderland's War. It kept its throne from last year for me. This is another bag builder game. There's also a rondel portion of it and area control. So it's another one of those games that just mashes mechanics together so very well. The theme feels so on point. I do think that this is probably elevated in my books because of the quality of components that I have. I have the deluxified version with the little resin poker chips as your bag building. Really does help a lot. Very excited. In the next month or so, I should be getting the expansion for it, which lets that the madness chips you get, you can use them as currency.
Okay, cool.
So that's going to be a blast to play. I've played this with 3 players all the way up to 5 players. Haven't played it 2-player yet. It loses a mechanic that I really love in the 3-player plus, so I'm not really interested in that. Plays great at every player count. Bit of a long game, but worth every minute.
Yeah. That brings me my new number one game of all time at this moment, and that is Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Raiders of the North Sea. It's been a long day. Raiders of the North Sea by Garphill Games, designed by Shem Phillips. I love a lot of the games from Garphill Games. This one just is the most fun because I can just jump into it anytime. I think there's other games that brain burn a bit better from them, but this one just has the perfect balance of weight, complexity, and accessibility.
Absolutely agreed.
This is the game that really, in my opinion, invented the great, like just a fluid worker placement game where like nothing is ever stopping. You're never waiting for a refresh. You're just every turn you're placing a worker, getting a worker, placing a worker, getting a worker, and the puzzle of deciding which you do for which action is just so much fun. Feels very thematic as you're attacking the locations as your team of Vikings. And I obviously this is the collector's edition of it. I have everything of the upgrades. And I will say it's only at number one spot if I'm including all the expansions.
That's fair.
Without the expansions, it might not even be in the top 5 or so.
Yeah, I think the expansions add a lot to that game.
Yeah,
Base game is great. Don't get me wrong.
Particularly the mead hall. Like if you have the mead hall, it completely changes the game.
Yep.
But I also say another thing that helped push this to the top was having the app available from Direwolf.
Yep.
Because I've probably played this board game more than any other board game individually this year. Because I've on my vacation flying, like I probably played a dozen
played it
games.
like a dozen times on the way down to PAX.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
Great game. More Garphill would be on my list. The ones that are leading the charge for me, though, I haven't played them quite enough to let them weigh in on my top 10 yet. They've only been played 2 or 3 times.
I probably played it like 50 to 70 times.
No, Raiders is fantastic.
Just this year.
So that's our top 10 of all time as of 2023. Lots of shakeups in here. Lots of great games, as usual. I'm going to take the tedious amount of time to go ahead and link every single game in here so you can chase those down if you're interested in any of them. Some of them are harder to find than others. Uprising is going to be super hard to find. Wonderland's War, I think, is hard to find right now, but it should be coming back into stock soon. Anyways, I won't go through the list right now, but yeah.
So yeah, if you have any questions, go ahead and leave comments. If you want to post your top 10, I'd love to hear some. We'd like to hear about games. Spend our money for us.
Yeah.
But I hope you like this. If you did, go ahead and like and subscribe so you can keep up with the list. Go ahead and check out the old ones and look forward to making this list and seeing any updates, shakeups for end of 2024.
Yeah, absolutely.
With that, we wish you good luck with all of your board game adventures.
And thank you for joining us on ours.